any kind of content, or even any kind of like transactional business where I want to be providing a product to you that you like. Literally what they wanted you to do was assign people to moderate your YouTube comments. I don't know if when I'm playing fighting games, if I'm blinking or not, because I'm focusing on the fighting game. If instead of me just go play, 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 also press play, 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 that we break it up and I talk with you guys and we hang out, right? Today, I would like to talk about the power of positive, constructive feedback. Okay? Here's what I mean by that. Positive, constructive feedback allows someone like me to hear your opinions on what I'm doing, and not only to take in, both criticisms, but also suggestions for improvement so that I can make better content in the future. I mean, this is obviously really big part of any kind of content, or even any kind of like transactional business where I want to be providing a product to you that you like. And I need your feedback to know what you like, what you don't like, and how to improve for the better, correct? I mean, that's why I have comments on my videos. That's why I have a suggestion box. Now, we don't always get to this stuff. And what I want to do today is specifically address two suggestions for improvement in two different things that I'm doing. One, the Elden Ring playthrough, and one, the Street Fighter 6 gameplay that I've been doing that I directly think will improve those experiences. And what I'd like to talk about this morning is the power of that kind of feedback and comments on videos.
So not only are we starting this video off by pig-splaining what constructive feedback is, but we're also throwing in a qualifying word, one so vague that I'm not honestly quite sure what it could even mean at this point, and that word is positive. I'm sure by now that everybody knows what constructive feedback is, and if you didn't, DSP just told you. But what is positive constructive feedback? Isn't all constructive feedback positive? As long as you're able to walk away learning something and being able to improve, isn't that a positive piece of feedback? Obviously what DSP is looking for and directly asking for is for all of the constructive feedback to be padded, for all of it to be very soft as to not hurt his so fragile ego. But if you have to ask for that in the first place, I'm only left wondering how likely it is that you're actually able to take in any sort of feedback objectively. And exactly how positive does this feedback have to be? What are the parameters? What are the guidelines? I need a rubric, DSP, because I promise you 99% of the things that people have to say about you on the internet are not going to meet your standard. It's also quite concerning how frequently you have to be asking for feedback. I mean, it's always been my experience that when people have something to tell you, that they just tell you and that you don't necessarily have to ask, especially when you're on an anonymous platform like YouTube is. Well, as anonymous as YouTube gets, obviously. They have a username to hide behind, is what I mean. Because YouTube comments typically aren't all that sugar-coated. I would imagine that more often than not, people say exactly what they mean, and they mean exactly what they say to the best of their ability. So if you have to ask this frequently for people to leave comments on your videos, it kind of just seems like these aren't the people that need to be leaving the comments anyway.
Because what you may not realize, I know this is going to be really weird for a lot of you to hear, all my comments on my videos are open. You're aware of that, right? Maybe many of you are not. And the reason is I have a very unique kind of a unique kind of situation. All right? Many years ago,
of course, DSP was unable to have a segment talking about the comment section without giving everybody a thorough rundown on his history, special style situation, or whatever the hell he had to call it, with the YouTube comment section throughout the years. Luckily, I know for the fact that every single one of us has already heard this. There's no exceptions. So we're just going to kind of fast forward through all of that really quickly.
I was a full-time YouTuber when it came to just creating on-demand videos. Although I streamed, my focus wasn't streaming. My focus was very much making these on-demand, put videos, put them into a playlist, etc. Most of the interaction that I got with my audience was not on the stream like it is today, but it was actually video comments, all right? But sadly, over a time period of, I would argue, probably about a decade, starting probably around 2011-ish, all the way through like 2021-ish, the toxicity against me just kept increasing online. And when that happened, people started flooding my video comments with some of the most vile, toxic things you could possibly imagine. And at this point, and we're talking probably around, anywhere from 2015 to like 2017-ish, sadly, there was no way to really control YouTube comments. There was no moderation tools that were effective. Literally what they wanted you to do was assign people to moderate your YouTube comments. Like, I'm going to hire people to come in here and start staring at my YouTube videos and moderate the comments. Like, what are you talking about? That's ridiculous, right?
The idea of hiring somebody to moderate your YouTube comments is kind of a ridiculous idea, but it's no more ridiculous to me than the idea of DSP manually moderating all of his YouTube comments the way that he did back in the day. And he constantly got called out on it all of the time, and he addressed it in many, many different videos throughout the years. But I love that his brain immediately went into, oh, I must hire somebody in order to moderate all of these YouTube comments, when he knows damn well, especially back then, that there were plenty of people like Air Raid Lord who would have very happily gone through all of those comments on a day-to-day basis just because he was Darkside Phil. You can say whatever you want about Darkside Phil, and I know that I do, but he has always had a very dedicated, dented following that is willing to do free work for him at all times of the day. He currently has an entire channel that's operated by indentured servants, so there's really no way in hell that back then, when he was actually somebody, when he was on top of the YouTube game, white hot popular or whatever he loves to say, that he couldn't find somebody that was willing to go through and moderate his comments.
So because of that, it got so bad with people trying to, they actually competed to try to say the most toxic things in my videos. You'd have people coming in saying racist stuff, sexist stuff, doxing me, doxing my family members, doxing viewers of the streams and moderators, basically doing everything you cannot have in any kind of an open discussion style area. And they actually competed to do the worst comments so that they could get highlighted in negative, toxic videos about me on the internet. People would actually just go through the video comments. Let's see what people have to say about this video. It's all the worst things you could possibly think, right?
And I really have no idea why he's constantly attributing all of the terrible things that people had to say in his comment section with being in a competition in order to get into these "this is how you don't" plays. Because I don't think that at any point you would ever be able to find a "this is how you don't" play that highlighted those comments that were actively doxing and calling for violence. That was never going to happen. And if you have proof of that, please let me know. But as far as I know and have seen, that's not the case and never has been. He just loves to attribute the worst possible things to all of the "this is how you don't" plays because that's the start of his downfall, or so he thinks.
So it got to the point where it was like either I was going to monstrously moderate every video, which was going to take insane amounts of time and effort, or I was just going to turn them off. And that's what people asked me to do. Actually, at one point, my longtime viewers said, Phil, I can't even watch your videos because if I just happen to glance down at the comments, literally 90% of the comments on your videos are these toxic competitions. Just turn them off. So I did. And there is a giant space there of my content from around probably, I want to say it started around 2016, 2017, all the way through like maybe 2 years ago when there were no comments on my videos at all. All right. That's a long time. It's like 5 years of content that I uploaded to YouTube that comments are off. So all you can do is watch. That's it.
And that's just so lame. Because one of the best parts about watching older videos, especially as these videos continue to get older and older, is looking at the comment section below and seeing how recently somebody commented, see if people are still watching this video in the present day, and then even looking at the old comments and seeing what people had to say back then about the topic. This might come off a little soft, but it's kind of like a time capsule in every video. You can't go back and change the things that you said, and the comments are already there. I highly doubt that these people are going to go back years in time in order to change what they said. But because some no-name superfan, at least according to DSP, asked him to turn the comments off, there's now multiple years of DSP videos that have never had a comment and probably never will. And it's only more suspicious to me that DSP tells this story the exact same way every time, never disclosing who this person was that was asking for this, and never putting together the fact that if this person didn't want to read these comments, then they just didn't have to scroll down. Like it was completely in their control, but they looked for DSP to solve the problem. And with that bass-ackwards logic, I can't help but think that the guy is the one that is solely responsible, and there was never a no-name super dent out there that was asking for this.
And so a lot of people just think that's the end of the story. Well, that's not the end of the story. I did turn on comments again on all of my videos. Are you aware of that? Probably not. What I did is I went back and I said, okay, what do we could do now? Now enough time has passed, and now YouTube has moderation options. Okay, so now when someone posts a comment on a video, YouTube auto filters. It searches for, awful terms, racist terminology, insults, things like that. It goes into a queue for me to review. So basically nothing just will auto post on a video. That way it can't have doxing and stuff like that. Okay.
But that right there is exactly the problem, DSP. Nothing gets auto-posted. And it's not simply because it's going through the YouTube filter and they're looking for swear words or addresses or anything. It's because you also are going through these comments. You are the one that's dictating every single comment that's allowed to be on your video. And I shouldn't have to tell you that that's not exactly an inviting environment at all. Nobody wants to leave a comment where you know that the content creator is going to be looking through every single one manually like that. Especially when you know that they come through with the worst intentions. towards actively seeking out negative things that people are saying so that they can be blocked from the channel. You're better off just not saying anything, even if you are a legitimate DSP fan, and that goes for his live chat as well. All it takes is one misstep out of line and you're banned from the channel. Unless, of course, you're willing to grovel in his direct emails, in which case he can grant you his gaudy blessing and allow you back into the fold. But like I said, is that something that you really want to do? You're better off just not saying anything. And he has no one to thank for this situation but himself. He's created this community around himself. This is the way that he treats all of the people that watch him. I don't blame them for not leaving comments. I don't blame them for not liking. I don't blame them for not talking in the chat. The only thing I really can blame them for is liking and enjoying DSP's content unironically. That shit's just never made sense to me, boss.
So comments are open. And it's funny because I think just recently, maybe in the last week, there's a couple people who went back to watch older playthroughs of mine on DSP Gaming, and they realized, wait a minute, I can leave a comment. And in fact, someone just did this last night. I think it was an older Amnesia playthrough of mine. They left a comment. They said, I can't possibly be the first person to comment on this video. It's got like thousands of views. And I responded. I was like, yeah, it's because there were no comments for years. People didn't realize this. But those comments are key. Knowing what you liked, what you didn't like about a part of a game, suggestions for improvement, things, your own personal experiences with that game. That's part of the whole social experience of making content. And for many years, sadly, it was gone. All right. Now it's back on all of my videos on this channel. You can actually comment on any video you want. Even there's a whole 5-year gap where you can post comments on videos now that don't have any comments. All right.
Am I crazy, or is this him just blatantly begging people to go watch his older content because they could be the first person to ever comment on those videos? That's the only way that this comes across to me. There's genuinely no reason other than that he would bring this up. Why does it matter to you whether or not these old videos have comments, DSP? Is it really going to make any difference in the modern day whether or not you know that somebody enjoyed your Amnesia playthrough from 5 years ago? I couldn't possibly imagine that it would.
So FYI, the reason I bring this up is because particularly overnight, there were 2 very nice, constructive comments on my gameplay videos. And I was rating them and I'm like, wow, these are actually really good, right? Like this is actually good stuff that I can use to improve. And I wish I had more of it. Particularly where this rings true is over on the DSP Throwback channel. Because I would say I do get a good amount of comments on this channel. I get some comments, but not a lot on the DSP Reacts channel for the weekly show that we do over there. But on the Throwback channel, I mean, I usually have 2 playthroughs alternating. Right now, it's Fallout 3, which is about to finish, and LA Noire. And then we've got, you know, the weekly DSP Throwback streams of Retro React, where we watch an old playthrough together. And I get, like, no comments on any of these videos. And it's a shame, because this is some of my classic content. I know the people that are watching it really like it, right? So, yeah, I'm excited for that. And I want more of it. I like reminiscing about the past. I hope you guys are enjoying these playthroughs that have been gone from the internet and, you know, putting them into a format where now you can watch them and they're digestible and they look better and everything. But I get like no comments.
And I really think that that's the crux of this entire spiel. I think that we're legitimately having this conversation because he is trying to justify to himself that the Throwback Reacts are a good idea, that the React channel is a good idea and actually worth doing. I don't think that I have to tell you that I think neither are worth doing, that they're both a complete waste of time. But DSP said it himself. He loves looking back at the past. He loves talking about the past. In fact, it's kind of his favorite thing to do, if you ask me. It's about all he does on the pre-stream every day. But he says that he knows that the people are enjoying it. The people that watch that content are loving it. I just don't know how he came to that conclusion without having these comments. Is that what the LARPers were telling you in chat, that they love the content? You can trust them people about as far as you can throw them. And with those noodle arms you got, I'm honestly surprised if you could pick them up to begin with.
On those videos for some reason. So that's something that I would definitely like to ask for. If you're someone who watches the DSP Throwback channel, there's not that many. I would argue probably a few hundred people who enjoy the content on that channel, and that's fine. It was never meant to be some kind of a crazy large-scale channel to begin with, okay? But if you're enjoying the content on the Throwback channel, please leave comments. That stuff will help me to improve the channel. I want to know your feedback. What do you think about the playthrough? What do you think about the way that we're doing it? Do you like the improvements? Do you like the titling? Do you like the thumbnails? Is this one of your favorite playthroughs? Do you particularly not like this game for some reason? I want to hear all of that. You know what I'm saying? So please share. That feedback is key and very important to improvement, and I'm not getting it on that channel right now. I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to film a special video that's just like a minute explaining this and saying, hey, the comments are live. Please, you know, leave some comments if you're watching this stuff. You know, it helps a lot. But particularly on this channel, comments have been very nice recently when it comes to suggestions for improvement. So what we'll do is right now, I'd like to run into a couple of those comments, review them with you guys, suggestions for improvement, okay? So for example, let me open this up because I took the screenshots here.
And since DSP wanted to take the time to fumble around on his phone, I feel inclined to acknowledge that not only is it incredibly lazy and a bad look for him to be asking other people what sort of content he should be putting on his own channel, but I also find it incredibly embarrassing. Because not only is he asking them to come up with his content for him, but he's basically asking them to glaze him in the comment section as well. Now, I might not have the best relationship when it comes to compliments either, and the fact that I can't accept them to save my life. But what I do know is that you don't go around asking people to compliment. You don't go around asking people to give you the glaze. But of course, DSP doesn't understand that, or at least it seems that he doesn't, because he's completely unsocialized when it comes to interacting with other human beings. He has no idea how to do it.
Here we go. So in regards to Street Fighter 6, okay? Recently, people have seen that when I'm playing Street Fighter 6, particularly when I'm playing the ranked matches, which are, you know, they're a grind. It's people trying to play their absolute best. And basically it's a lot of stress for me. You know, my blood pressure goes up, my body's hot, I have to pump up my air conditioning in here. And if I start to lose a string of matches, I get really agitated and heated. And then it just kind of, it makes me run into more like bad gameplay. Like I'll play worse the more upset or heated or agitated I get, right? So people have had suggestions, take breaks and stuff like that. Back on Wednesday, my eyes started to burn uncontrollably, and then I couldn't even see. Like, I could see the TV, and then when I looked over here, the entire laptop was a blur. I couldn't even, like, see the words on the screen. I'm like, oh, my God. So people suggested, hey, go get eye drops. So I did. I have eye drops now that I can use, and my eyes start to burn like that, right?
I can understand the logic that is my eyes burn, I should get eye drops, but I'm not quite convinced that this is a normal thing that is supposed to be happening when you play games, DSP, especially not the way that you play them. Here's what I mean by that. Despite being a full-time streamer, a full-time gamer even, he plays games for an amount of time that is smaller than the average streamer, hell, probably even smaller than the average person. And he's definitely playing in smaller sessions than most people are. DSP has claimed to be hot and sweaty, had his adrenaline pumping and his eyes burning all within the first 2 hours of gameplay. I would imagine that if I asked all of you, the Atlas audience, how many of you have played video games for a longer stretch of time than 2 hours at a time, without your eyes hurting, it would be just about every single one of you. Like I said, I understand how he came to the conclusion that eye drops when his eyes hurt was a good idea, but that's before addressing what he actually said, in that when he looked away from the screen and into the chat, he couldn't actually read it, which I think is far more concerning and definitely not something that's supposed to happen. It's not supposed to work like that. I think that whatever variation of the skin suit that DSP's alien that's living inside of him was given, whatever model this suit is faulty and starting to break down and definitely in need of some proper maintenance.
So someone left an interesting comment. I'd like to share it with you. And I think this might actually lead to a direct change to when I play Street Fighter that actually is going to be for the best, both for me and for the viewers. So this is what I mean about getting truly constructive feedback, is that it really can help and change things for the better. So here we go. Ready? Okay. So here's a comment left directly on last night's video of M. Bison gameplay as I continued to, you know, grind. And then I did a daily wrap basically explaining that I was doing good, but, you know, there's issues that arise when I'm playing, right? So here you go. He goes, you barely blink when you're doing matches back to back. You're fixating so hard on the action, and you've just basically learned this kind of a bad habit. And you are in a room with lots of tech equipment and air conditioning, and it's all going to dry out your eyes. Symptoms of dry eyes are sore, itchy, red eyes, and blurry vision. It's no more complex than your eyes are just dry because of how you're playing high-stress games and you barely blink. You guys would know that. I literally wouldn't, right? Like, I don't know if when I'm playing fighting games, if I'm blinking or not, because I'm focusing on the fighting game.
And this really is just more evidence that DSP is an alien living inside of a human-style skin suit. What the fuck do you mean you don't know whether or not you're blinking because you're playing a video game? Legitimately, what the fuck does that even mean? Are you actually that dented you don't know whether or not you are blinking currently while you're playing a video game? I've never ran into this. I've never thought that I would hear this sentence ever. I understand that when you're playing a competitive game, especially one that requires quick reactions, that maybe you're not blinking as often as you should be. And I think that that is totally normal. But to not know whether or not you're blinking is kind of a different thing entirely. How is that something that you're unaware of? It just doesn't make any sense to me.
You guys would know because you can see me as I play. And so this person is observing and saying, yeah, if you haven't noticed when you play fighting games, like you barely ever blink. So, okay. I mean, that's a valid observation, right? Thank you for that, because I didn't even realize that. Okay. Continuing on. You should take breaks every 2 matches or so and go into a practice room versus NPCs and practice moves for a few minutes and talk with viewers and ask for strats or info about moves or to calm down. the way that you spam matches back to back over and over for hours is kind of crazy. You need to break them up a little. You're always running at high revs and stressed out. Okay? I actually think this person, now putting this in perspective, is absolutely correct.
I'm actually really glad that you think that, because I think this person is entirely wrong and incredibly dented as well. Because I cannot imagine how unentertaining, how much content is going to exist if DSP is only doing 2 matches of Street Fighter and then taking a multi-minute break to talk to his chat. I guess this is really just another branch of DSP trying not to play video games at any cost and instead just wasting his audience time sitting on camera. But Jesus Christ, anybody who enjoyed the Friday Night Fight salt is gonna be just SOL, I guess. Because they're only gonna get like 5 matches throughout the entire play session. And I can find myself agreeing with this suggestion if DSP was playing for a multi-hour session. If he was playing for 5 to 6 hours, it would absolutely make sense that he take a break at some point. But he typically plays Street Fighter on a Friday night that's only a 2-hour session. How many breaks can you really get during a 2-hour session without it being nothing content? Like I said though, I'm glad that DSP thinks this is a great idea. He can continue to make his terrible content even worse in my eyes. It's not like I typically watch any of the gameplay anyway, so I'm not losing out on anything.
When I play Street Fighter online, particularly ranked, and I'm just jumping from match to match to match, right? I could go like for an hour just playing without a break, right? It's true. And then I'm not relaxing my eyes. I'm not even interacting with the chat in a lot of cases. I get so heated. I'm like, I just want to go on to the next match. I just want to go on to the next match, on to the next match. And what happens is those streams, as I've told you guys, end up being way less interactive, way less social than my typical stream would be. Like right now, as you know, we're going to be talking and we're going to be interacting and we're going to have a good time on this podcast. When I start playing Elden Ring, we're going to have those conversations. Tonight, are you kidding me? When we play Stardew Valley, that's like a feature, right? That we're going to hang out and we're going to have conversation and we're going to have fun together. That's kind of the point. But in regards to Street Fighter 6, I basically kind of almost ignore you guys unless I'm taking that break in the middle of the stream, and then I talk with you for a little bit and I'll do shout outs and I'll update the leaderboard and stuff like that. So what this person is suggesting is to be a more loose atmosphere when I play Street Fighter. Maybe do 2 to 3 sets and then take a break for like 5 minutes. Hang out with the chat. What's going on? What is everyone talking about? Let's do shout outs. Let's update the leaderboard. Let's cool down. Even if I'm on a winning streak or a losing streak, to interrupt that streak, to take a breather, to blink like this, to be natural, to be human, instead of being a robot mashing through a bunch of matches back to back. And that'll give me an opportunity. Hey, my eyes burn. Let's put some eye drops in. Hey, let's hydrate, right? Let's get a drink here.
I really can't stand the fact that when he mentioned taking a drink, of course he had to actually take one despite it being in the middle of something that he was saying. Also, whatever that blinking thing was, I don't ever want to see that again. That was horrifying. Just another skin suit malfunction, obviously, but horrifying nonetheless. But isn't it telling just how mentally stunted that this guy is, that he actually has to take breaks from playing a video game because he's too emotionally inept to control his own emotions? Of course, everybody gets heated at video games, especially in a competitive setting. Again, I get this, I understand. But this guy specifically has to be told to take a break and chill out as if he's an actual child. Need I remind you that this is a grown man, 42 years old, and operates a household. He's very clearly a responsible adult, or at least he LARPs as one. Yet his emotional regulation skills are subpar at best.
Let's get the blood pressure down. Let's get the adrenaline down. Honestly, I think this person is onto something, because here's why. The last 2 times that I played with M. Bison, I start off very strong. My first several matches, the whole first roughly hour goes well, right? And then all of a sudden, after about an hour of gameplay, it starts to fall apart. I start to play a little more sloppy, dropping execution, dropping combos, right? I start freaking out. I don't know why I got hit. I don't know why that's hitting me. I don't know why my combo, oh my God, I couldn't do a simple move. I wanted scissors, and instead I got head stomp, right? That kept happening. Now, when that's happening, what I should do is immediately I should say, I got to take a break, because obviously things are falling apart. But instead, it's just like my agitation makes me want to keep going, right? And that's going to spell disaster. And I see logically, I know this, but the problem is when you're in the heat of the moment, when the adrenaline is pumping, right? When you're angry, then you don't feel the logic betrays you, and you don't think logically. You just, I got to go to the next one. I got to get revenge. I got to get things turned around again, right? So I absolutely feel like this advice, every 2-3 sets, not matches, but sets, because, you know, a set is, when you're doing ranked, it's best of 3. So let's say I play 3 different people in a row, then take like a 5-minute break and relax, right? And then recuperate, blink, right? Hydrate in the eyes, hydrate in the mouth, hydrate everything, and then come back. You see what I'm saying?
So his solution is that actually every 15 minutes worth of gameplay, there's going to be a 5-minute break following. An absolute snail's pace for gameplay and entertainment, I'll tell you what. What I can also tell you is that I think it's a lack of maturity on DSP's end as to why when he's in a competitive setting of online matchmaking, that he can't think logically and understand that he's going to be playing worse the angrier that he is, and that it is actually a good idea to take a break. Of course, the actual solution to this issue is that DSP just follow his own advice and understand that there's no stakes in this ranked game mode, and that none of it actually matters, so there's actually no real reason to be upset about it at all. But of course, DSP's been doing this for 16 years. He's a veteran. He knows exactly what he's talking about. If he thinks that the best course of action is to bring the content, gameplay, and entertainment to a screeching halt every 15 minutes so that he can take a 5-minute break, then I guess that's the best course of action and exactly what's going to happen.
So I think that's what I should start doing. I think this is an exceptionally good suggestion. This is going to dramatically improve, I feel, when I play fighting games. And what I'd like to do, the first time I'd like to try this is Monday on my next Street Fighter stream. Okay, so for those who don't know, Monday, the daytime stream is Street Fighter 6, not the night stream. It's going to be M. Bison ranked gameplay. My goal is to take him to master. I'm actually more than a third through 5-star diamond rank. I'm getting there right now. So I feel if we do it like this, I play 2-3 matches, relax, let's hang out for a little bit. Then we go back. That will actually help me, in my opinion, to play better. And I think that that's what I need to start doing. So that way it's not, because here's the thing, the way I play now, I kid you not, I start playing and it's either I'm a string of good matches or bad matches, and then I just keep going, and next thing you know, the night's over. And I'm like, dude, it's like, this is what happened last night. It was past 10 p.m. Now I'm supposed to be out of here by like 9:30. It's past 10 p.m. And I'm like, dude, I feel like I want to keep playing. The adrenaline is still coursing through me, but that's a bad idea. I've already played for 2.5 hours. If I keep going, I'm probably going to play more poorly. You know what I'm saying?
Not necessarily, no. You don't just typically start playing worse because you've been playing for a while. That's not how these things work at all. But he makes it sound like a negative thing that he was staying late on the stream, that he was actually enjoying the gameplay for once, so much so that he decided to continue to stay late on his own volition. That actually sounds like quite a good thing to me. I think that you're supposed to be enjoying the video games when you play them on your stream for your audience. So the fact that you were willing to stay by yourself is actually kind of a good sign, and an amount of passion for gaming that DSP just typically doesn't exhibit. More often than not, the guy actually just looks bored out of his goddamn gourd when he's playing a video game. So this is kind of an improvement, or at least you would imagine.
I do need to start getting under more self-control. And I asked for this last night, and admittedly, thank you to everyone who was here last night who helped me. I said if I get tilted, I need people to calm me down, and a few people did actually at one point, and we took the break, and the break worked well. So I need to do that. Like if I'm getting hot and pissed because of fucking a string of losses or whatever, I need to have that break. I need to have people step up and say, hey, break that right now. You know, let's have this time to just hang out and talk for a little bit so you can cool down. So when you go back in, you're of more right mind. You're not just agitated, right? So let's start trying this on Monday.
So not only does he need to take these breaks to emotionally regulate, but he also needs to be told specifically by other people to take these breaks because he's incapable himself, I guess. If you ever needed proof that DSP is actually less able in the mind than a small child, it's right here. I'm just not sure whether or not to contribute this to a deficient style brain problem or due to the fact that DSP is, again, very clearly an alien in a human skin suit.
So thank you to this person. Amazingly good comment. And this is what I mean. This kind of feedback could really help me. Not only just, you know, for my own personal health reasons, I'm getting older and I shouldn't have a high fucking blood pressure every time I play Street Fighter, but also for content creation in general. I think that the Street Fighter streams would be better if instead of we just go play, oh, so pissed, play, that we break it up. And I talk with you guys and we hang out, right? We have those opportunities for chill time in between the serious matches.
But really, how much more chill time do you think that everybody needs? Isn't every other night stream already a chill style night stream? Is Friday night not the perfect time in order to not have a chill night stream and instead have a very exciting action-packed night stream? I have no idea why he insists that every chat member, everybody who's watching the content regardless of day or night stream are looking for a chill style interactive stream. Because that's not what most of his content used to be. In fact, it was a rarity that he had these chill night streams. That's why they were something different, but now it appears that he's doing them all of the time. I just can't wait until it's the chill night stream overload instead of RPG overload. That's the arc that I'm looking forward to. It really is just a matter of time.
In truth, I actually feel like a lot of people do this, and I'm just behind the curve, right? Because again, I'm of the mentality of the old days of Street Fighter. Keep in mind, I haven't played competitive Street Fighter in a very long time, where I used to just grind. I was offline, I wasn't streaming. So I would just do all these offline matches back to back to back to back and just keep going. And sometimes I'd have a string of losses. People would like that. They'd laugh at my losses because I would be all pissed and stuff. But today I'm actually trying to play well. This isn't just me pumping out videos for the sake of pumping out videos. I'm actually trying to get better at Street Fighter 6. I care now. Back in Street Fighter 4 days, I legit didn't. I didn't give a fuck if I won or lost as long as I was putting out an entertaining video. Now I actually care. I'm actually trying to get better at the game. So it makes sense that I should actually take breaks and focus and try to readjust so that I'm not pissed off all the time, right?
Is this just an acknowledgement that he no longer prioritizes being entertaining over being good at the game? Because that's the way that that comes off to me. If back in the day he didn't care about being good and would just play nonstop back to back to back as long as he was being entertaining, and now he doesn't do that, it sounds like he's prioritizing his own gameplay and therefore his own ego above being entertaining for the stream. And that really does go right in line with the idea of playing video games for 15 minutes and then taking a 5-minute break. He really is willing to take all of the momentum out of the stream and the gameplay in order to just maybe play a little bit better. My first thought, however, is if you actually care about whether or not somebody is playing good, you really have no business in watching DSP, because he's objectively horrible at just about every game that he plays.
So this is great. Thank you so much. And anyone, this is the kind of suggestion I need for sure. 100%. This is super helpful. This is going to allow me to do better moving forward if I listen to this kind of advice, okay? So thank you very much. And again, if anyone else has suggestions like this, please, by all means, leave these on my videos. I read them. I absolutely read these suggestions. I look at all the comments, I approve them, and I read them. So know that it's not being missed or anything like that. Absolutely, I see all of your comments and constructive suggestions like this. So thank you for that, okay? Particularly, again, on the Throwback channel, that's where I could use a lot. Oh, you know, what did you think about the playthroughs? What do you think about the quality?
I hope that nobody listens to this call of action from him. He doesn't deserve the engagement, he doesn't deserve the comments, and he most definitely does not deserve any sort of glazing that he would be receiving in said comments. And while that segment did go on for a little while longer, it devolved into him basically begging people to tell him what he should be throwing up on the DSP Throwback channel. But I didn't want to listen to that, and he was already talking about the comments, which got me thinking that we should take a look at some of the comments from the last video, so it's obviously big ups to the 60 skulls. 713 says, I remember Phil talking about the FGC by saying, yeah, online I talked to people and acted like an asshole, but in person I was the nicest guy. Like that made it any better. Sir, that is cowardly behavior, lol. And that exact thing was confirmed by Justin Wong, so there's definitely no lying going on there for once. And I agree with you, that is absolutely cowardly behavior and probably one of the biggest contributing factors to why nobody in the scene actually liked him. One of the contributing factors being the key to that statement, obviously, because there were plenty of reasons why nobody liked the guy. Navi What says, who cares about the escort saga? It's in the past. And I really couldn't agree with you anymore. If that's the kind of flippant attitude that DSP is willing to take towards his lies in the past, then I guess all of the lies of the detractors, as few of them as there are also completely forgivable. Also, isn't it incredibly funny how whenever he's talking about all of these ops that have gone on throughout his history and all of the terrible things that the detractors have done to him, that he never fails to mention the escort saga? Incredibly coincidental that he never forgets, huh? And Harley Wood says, I am quite excited for the June doc, if only because I'm morbidly curious about how Phil will handle the whole thing. And I think that that's the best attitude to come into the entire thing with. Don't for a second think that June the King is actually going to do the detractors any favor and completely out Phil as the scum scammer that he is. You really should approach it with that morbid curiosity, because like you said, it's really less about what's in the documentary and more about how DSP deals with it. How he tries to retcon all of the tales that were told in it. How he tries to completely change the narrative surrounding him and the documentary to suit his own needs. And I think that's the real reason that anybody was looking forward to the Mike Klum documentary, aside from being able to look into the snort fort for once. I guess everybody's just lucky this time that June the King's already pretty much done with the thing and just has editing left to do. Speaking of editing to do, me as well. So I want to thank everybody for watching the video, especially if you made it this far. Hopefully I'll catch all of you guys in the next video, but until then, make sure that you check out other detractor content and dive deeper into that. Snortex.
To blink like this.